Have you ever tried to achieve something that's really worthwhile, but something just gets in your way? Like there's a journey you want to go on, there's a destination that you'd like to reach, but something goes wrong and you just never make it. I remember when our kids were teenagers, our family did the once-in-a-lifetime, let's take the kids to Disneyland trip. And we were camped in one of those hundreds of motels which are just across the road from Disneyland. And towards the end of the week, we'd just about Disneylanded ourselves out. And we realised that the next day we had a spare day with nothing to do. And I came up with a brilliant idea. I said, let's drive to Mexico. It was only a few hours' drive. We had a rental car at our disposal. We could go and enjoy some Mexican hospitality. We could sample some Mexican food. We could grab some Mexican bargains. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we're driving along on the interstate and we've cleared the city limits. It's way behind us and we're in the middle of nowhere. And as I'm driving over the next hill, I suddenly see in front of me, rising out from the desert floor, this humongous, ginormous factory outlet centre. Right in the middle of nowhere. And all the big names were there and it had bright lights trying to seduce us. And there was a big pizza place there and it advertised like the world's biggest pizzas. And as we're driving along, the smell of the pepperoni and the cheese just wafting us through. And my wife looks at me and she says, honey, look, factory outlets. And I say, look, we're going to Mexico. I turned to my daughter, Carly. She was around 16. She's going to support her dad. And I said, hey, Carly, we're going to Mexico. And she said, but Dad, they're factory outlets. Josh is my 13-year-old son. He will support me. So, hey, Josh, how about we go to Mexico? He says, Dad, there's an Adidas store, there's a Puma store, there's an Everlast store, and I got the feeling that a mutiny was about to happen. Now, if you were driving the car, what would you do? Well, thinking that I was about to lose this fight, I made an executive decision. I simply said, okay, we're going to spend half an hour at the factory outlets. 4 hours later, we are still at the factory outlets. We've got lots of bargains, lots of clothes, lots of electronic gizmos, but there was no way in the world we were going to get to Mexico that day. We are the family that set out to drive to Mexico and we stopped to go shopping. Have you ever heard a speaker who starts to take their audience to a destination and they never get there? Like at the end of it, you're thinking, well, good stories, some funny jokes, but you think, they didn't take us anywhere. Hey, come on, all of us have had to listen to some speaker do that. Have you ever presented a message that never got to its destination? Where you started off full of enthusiasm, but for some reason you got distracted and you just never got there. Wouldn't it be good if we could work out a way that whenever you presented to people, you always took them to a destination that was worth going to?